Hello my friends and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 run. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing one of my favorite runs in the game, Renegade with Shuriken. This is neither a challenge run nor a class guide because this run is a little more difficult than the easiest runs with Renegade, but not so challenging as to be one of the most difficult runs. This is just an extremely fun run that I really enjoy because you just get to watch the Shurikens bounce all over the map and kill everything. There is some danger to this run because we're using a very low damage weapon on a character low base damage weapon on a character that has a damage penalty. So it's definitely possible to mess up and lose this run. So hopefully we don't do that. I'm going to roll here and we'll take 5 harvesting because of course we want to get our harvesting going early. So just to remind you how this character works, we get extra projectiles and extra piercing. But have a minus 400% damage penalty. Now, our damage modifiers are reduced by 80%, so that works out to an 80% damage penalty. And for every unique level 1 item that we buy, we get 2% of that damage back. So it's very important that we get lots of different level 1 items, because each point of percent damage that we get on this character is incredibly impactful to our damage output, since it starts so low. I'm going to roll here and try to lock a bunch of shurikens. One of the nice things about this weapon is that it is very cheap, so you can often level it up early, which is very important because this weapon requires levels in order to be able to kill stuff. As you can see, with an 80% damage penalty and a low base damage weapon, we're only doing 1 damage a shot unless we get critical hits. So we are going to need to fix our percent damage soon, or we're not going to be able to kill anything, even with these extra projectiles. I'll roll here, looking for harvesting again, and we did find some, so we'll take 5 more harvesting, and then we'll see if we can level up our shurikens and hopefully lock another one. Okay, great. Getting to 6 with a 7th locked, that's perfect. What I like about this run is really just that you just get so many bouncing attacks, and you get to buy so many items that you normally wouldn't buy, because the Renegade just wants every level 1 item that you see, unless it's actively detrimental, so you get to buy all sorts of interesting items that can make all kinds of cool builds happen. If we get a scared sausage, we can build a little more around elemental damage. If we get a pocket factory, it's super powerful for this character because the turrets do benefit from the Renegade's extra projectiles and extra piercing. Because Shuriken, despite being a ranged weapon, scales with melee damage. Note the little sword in the plus 25% there. We don't want this ranged damage upgrade. So we'll roll and we'll take 5 harvesting. And then here, I do probably want to buy dodge eventually. We're going to get a little bit of dodge just by buying random level 1 items, but I'm going to take 4 melee damage. As soon as I have increased my percent damage, that will help us get a little more base damage on all our weapons, which is going to be very important. We'll buy these 2 uniques, and that gives us 4% damage here, and you can see that we've gotten our damage per shot up to 2, doubling the damage output of our character, which obviously is tremendously impactful. Here I'm going to lock the baby gecko and the scared sausage. These are both items that we're pretty happy to see. Boiling water we would buy, but I'm not going to bother locking it. We'll get a level 1 item that will be as good in terms of increasing our percent damage, but probably cheaper. And then we're just rolling for more different level 1 items and, of course, more shurikens. At this point, we need a little more HP, we need some form of healing, and we need, of course, more weapon levels, so that's what we're mainly looking for. Also, critical hit chance, very good for shurikens because it increases the bouncing shots on this weapon. Since every time you get a critical hit, you get a bounce. I don't think we'll have the DPS to kill that curse alien, so I'm going to focus on picking up materials here. And then here, I could roll for harvesting. I could also just take crit chance, melee damage, or luck. If we get a harvesting next level up, then we'll still hit 21. So I think I'm just going to take 5 crit chance, and then we'll take 5 harvesting here. Plan worked perfectly. And this way we will increase the chance of bouncing our shots, and also increase the chance of doubling our damage output, or multiplying it by 1.5. But because the game has rounded increments, when your shots only deal 1 damage, which we've already past this point, but when your shots only deal 1 damage, any critical hit, no matter the crit multiplier, will make them deal 2 damage. So you actually get better crit multipliers when your shots only deal 1 damage, which is kind of fun. Here we'll take the butterfly. This is another item that we don't have yet. It does decrease our elemental damage, a little sad for our scared sausage, but lifesteal, very important, of course, on a bouncing weapon. And then now I guess I will lock the boiling water. Anything that has that little renegade icon, unless it is, like I said, actively bad for us, we definitely want to buy, because we have to fix our percent damage as quickly as possible. Renegade, I think, is one of the easier characters in the game, especially when you're using something like submachine gun or javelin, one of the really powerful weapons for this character. But you need to know that you need to buy every level 1 item that you don't have yet, and I think that's why some players have found this to be a more difficult character. Because there is that burden of knowledge for how the character works in order to get the most out of it. Here, I'm going to take 3% lifesteal, again, just fixing our healing, and then we can buy all of these items, which, again, gives us some more percent damage. I'm not going to buy the compass, because we don't want to decrease our crit chance. I'm not going to buy tardigrade, because it's a pretty inefficient defensive item for us, but we will take plant and injection. I'm also going to roll again. We've gotten really unlucky on finding shurikens in the last several waves, and so our weapon levels are actually pretty bad. In the first 5 shops, we're guaranteed to see weapons in the shop, and the fact that none of them were shurikens for the last, 3 shops in a row is definitely unfortunate for us. This weapon benefits tremendously from levels, because the melee damage scaling starts at 25%, and you really need to scale that up in order to be able to actually kill stuff with this weapon. Currently, the base damage is still enough, but we'll need to get more melee damage and higher weapon levels, as well as more percent damage, in order to be able to actually get kills with this character. Making okay money, but we definitely could be doing better. Here, I'll take 10 luck, and then we're going to pick up all of these. Yes, losing a lifesteal from the plants is bad, of course, but we do need every point of percent damage that we can get. Finally got a shuriken level, that's great. Ritual is also really good, gives us lifesteal, and although our percent damage modifiers are reduced by 80%, so we're going to only get slightly over, we'll get 1.2% damage from the ritual. When your percent damage is negative, that is still incredibly impactful. We'll take the fertilizer here. It does cost me a melee damage, but that's fine. And then we'll lock the boxing glove because we don't have one. Coffee may be the perfect item. We need attack speed, and it's a level 1 item we don't have. I could lock the scared sausage, and I think I will. Even though we already have one, so it's not going to increase our percent damage, we can end up building elemental damage on this character and have it be pretty good, so we'll buy the scared sausages for fun. If we get a fried rice, if we get an ice cube, then those will be really good. And also, we're going to end up with some incidental elemental damage just from buying level 1 items, so the scared sausages themselves probably won't be bad to have. The walrus keeps charging towards the healers that have just respawned and getting a complete heal, which is making it take a lot longer to kill than it would normally. Just, we've gotten a little unlucky on the enemy positioning this wave that's making it hard for us to finish off that walrus. So it absorbed a lot of damage, and that meant that we made a little less money than we would have otherwise. Okay, so Scared Sausage can actually be a pretty big part of our plan now, because we've gotten 3 of them. I'm going to take 2 armor here. I also want max HP, but we'll get there on max HP, and armor is going to be really important. And then we're going to buy out this shop, take our free reroll. Bowler Hat, so I definitely want the Alien Worm. Bowler Hat is pretty good, but does cost us a lot of stats that we care a lot about. I'll definitely take another Ritual. Do I want to lock the Bowler Hat? Usually a very powerful item, but we are suffering in terms of our max HP, and we're going towards an elite wave pretty quickly, so I think I'm actually going to pass on the bowler hat here. We'll take a penguin, though. Stone Skin, we don't have the armor to make use of it, so even though our max HP is really low, I really don't want to lose attack speed, and the Stone Skin is just not giving us much value yet. Oh, we've got a gobbler. So I'm going to let the gobbler eat materials and start growing, because I want to show you guys the tier 3 gobbler, because it just looks so ridiculous. So we're going to probably lose some money this wave by allowing the gobbler to feast. There we go. So you can see how big this thing is. That slowed my clear speed, of course, because I was trying to avoid picking up materials, but now we'll be able to kill the gobbler and get a big burst of materials all at once. I do really like the model for that enemy. And we still made 272, so we didn't give up that much money. Here I'm going to take 6 melee damage. I could also take 9 HP. I could roll for HP, but our melee damage is really low, so I do want to fix that. And then here, I don't really need that much more lifesteal or harvesting, so I'm going to roll here, and we'll take 6 maximum HP. 19 was just getting way too low. We'll definitely buy these 2 items, going to minus 44% damage, and then we'll take a black belt, keep the ritual locked, and reroll. Grab a cute monkey, which is great healing for us, as well as giving us some more percent damage, and then we'll reroll again. Wave 10, the scarf should be safe to buy. Spicy sauce I do think I have to buy because my max HP is terrible right now, so not an efficient way to buy it, but kind of a necessary one for this character at the moment, I think. Still getting pretty unlucky on weapon levels on our shurikens, unless I've just passed some and haven't noticed, which is always a possibility. But we are at least reaching the point where our damage output isn't terrible. We should be able to kill this loot alien. Although Shuriken is pretty bad for single target DPS, the nice thing about it is that you can focus on killing one tough enemy, like that loot alien or the hatchers on this wave, and everything else will still just die because you have the bouncing shots. So it's gonna clear the wave while you're focusing damage on one enemy. So even if you kill that specific enemy a little slower, you give up less for spending time doing that. Nice. Broken Mouth, exactly the item we would have hoped to see the most. And here we're going to take 10 more attack speed, because we want that, and we'll take 6 more max HP. And now we're at 41 max HP, and that's a much, much more comfortable number. Definitely going to upgrade our shurikens, and we'll buy the scarf and the ritual. I guess I'll take the spicy sauce still. It is a... we do still need some max HP, and it gives us a free reroll, so we get a small discount on that. We'll lock a shuriken and a helmet. Medical turret, I don't think we need. Our healing is pretty good, because we've got some decent regeneration and decent lifesteal on a bouncing weapon. So what I really need is armor and a little more lifesteal, probably. But medical turret, I don't think is going to be an important part of our plan. We have decreased our engineering quite a bit with all the rituals that we've bought, which does mean that if we do find Pocket Factory, it will be less effective. But still good for this character. Pocket Factory is good for a number of reasons for Shuriken Renegade, because not only is it good just in and of itself, since we get the extra shots thanks to playing the Renegade, it also works well with our plan of doing lots of little bits of damage all around the map. So that's why Pocket Factory is actually an actively good item for us. I know I buy that item sometimes when it's just for fun, but in this case, it's actively good. I didn't see the loot alien until the end there, which I probably would have gone after it. I don't really need 4 regens, so we'll take 10 luck here, and then we're going to go ahead and buy a shuriken, buy a helmet, that's perfect. We'll take a landmines. Metal detector, the downside is reduced on the metal detector, because our damage modifiers are reduced by 80%, so we only lose 1% damage for picking that up, so I do think it's worth it. We don't have a turret yet, so 2% more damage there, and the turret does benefit from our additional shots. Do I want the wheelbarrow? I think not. I'm pretty worried about this elite wave, honestly, and our income is fine, so we're going to pass on that. We will definitely take another black belt, though, because that increases our damage output, as well as giving us knockback, which is pretty relevant for shurikens. And then I'm going to lock this mushroom and buy the bait. I don't want to buy the bait going into the elite wave, but we do want to buy bait because every point of percent damage is, again, so valuable for this character. So I'm looking for basically a big armor upgrade if we can get a +3 armor next wave, or from this level up, which we did hit level 15, so we're guaranteed a tier 3 level. So we should be able to get +3 armor, or maybe 15 attack speed. Either of those would be really nice. We probably won't have the damage to kill the elite at this point, because we're still only doing 8 damage a shot on critical hits, so trying to kill an elite with damage that low is going to be tough, so we'll probably try to tank through it. So a move speed upgrade, an armor upgrade, even a lifesteal upgrade would probably be pretty helpful. And we didn't make that much money this wave because although we have 50 harvesting, our harvesting is not super high, and that's where your income tends to come from on Abyssal Terrors. Then to take 3 armor here, doubling our armor and going to 6 is just so valuable, and then we'll take 6 melee damage. Really nice to get this potato. This is a bunch of stats that we really care about, and then we can also upgrade our weapon and buy the mushroom here, and then roll. I will take the saltwater. Although elemental damage is part of our plan with the triple scared sausage, the melee damage and attack speed is really good. Acid, I don't think we need, because we have 50 HP already, so we'll get to a reasonable HP value pretty quickly. Let me check my damage against the elite. Your damage can, of course, be deceptive when you're playing the Renegade, and it looks like we actually should be able to kill it here. Because although our damage per shot is pretty low, we fire 3 shots with every attack. And we're clearing the rest of the wave while bouncing shots off of the elite. This elite is also often safer to fight than it is to run from, because you can just move in circles around it. That being said, because we haven't found basically any move speed, I think we are still at 0 move speed, my timing there was very off, because I'm used to having some move speed to enable moving around that. So I basically took every single hit from that elite in that fight. Fortunately, didn't matter. Got a bunch of curse alien kills there, which is really nice, and pick up some of those materials. The turret actually was doing good work over there. I'll definitely take the big arms. 12 melee damage is perfect. Okay, we had 5% speed, but still. And we'll take 7 crit chance, because more bouncing shots just means more wave clear. This is a great shop for us, and we'll buy everything in it. Yes, it does cost me 4% crit chance, which we do want, but the metal gives us so many stats we care about. And then we'll take the mushroom and effective steroids. Spyglass, I think we can pass on. This is just not a high enough economy run for the Spyglass to pay for itself in any reasonable time frame. Range isn't terrible, and we'll take glasses if they show up, because they'll come with 2% damage as well. That would be a way to make glasses a reasonable item to buy also. If it gave 20 range and, like, I don't know, 4% damage for the same price, then it would probably be a good item. I've been thinking a lot about balance changes that I would make. As I have mentioned previously, I don't know if Evil Empire, who have taken over the development of Brotato, are intending to make major balance changes to the base game. But if they are, then I think there are some balance issues that they could address and maybe enable some more strategies, mostly revolving around range and knockback, which are stats that are interesting, but you get them in such small amounts that you can't really use them in actual play. But if they added other benefits to the items that gave those, or just increased the values at which you get them, then they could be pretty good. We'll take the goat skull here, even again at the cost of crit chance, and we'll take the baby squid as well, because more healing is still good. Take the armor. Here, I'm gonna pick up the crit chance over the lifesteal. I think our healing is fine, and I do want more bouncing shots. And then we'll pick up recycling machine, cursed mushroom, defective steroids, and we'll buy a helmet. Even though this is a duplicate, we still just want more armor. really nice to get a level 3 Shuriken, so we're very happy to pick that up. We'll take a Ritual and a Warrior Helmet. Now I do need some more movement speed, though, so I'm going to look to get probably just a +9 move speed from my level 20, which we should hopefully hit this wave. I've got to oil my office chair. It just squeaks so much. I don't know how much that comes through on the mic, but that was very loud. I thought I saw a loot alien off in the corner there, but I guess it was not real. I was just hallucinating it. Might actually have been a gobbler that died immediately, because the gobbler and the loot alien are the only enemies that have green on them in Abyssal Terrors, because the gobbler has the mask. So sometimes you can mistake a gobbler for a loot alien. Yeah, we'll take a crown, of course. You can't be the king of Brotato without it, and it will still give us money. Although it won't probably make up for the 100 materials that we spent on it anytime soon, the extra levels that we get will still make the crown good to have. And then here we'll take the warrior helmet, because the defensive stats, I think, will matter more for fighting this elite. And dynamite we'll buy. Defective steroids I'm going to buy just because it gives me stats we actually do want. Even though, again, not a duplicate. So we didn't hit level 20, so I wasn't able to get move speed before fighting this elite. Fortunately, this is one of the elites that move speed is not really necessary against, at least for a character who's using a ranged weapon. Because you just need to move sideways to it, so you don't need to do that much in the way of specific dodging. And there's no particular timing that you need to hit. Much easier, of course, to fight the Shark Elite with a ranged weapon than with a melee weapon, because it's one of the charging enemies, so you can keep consistent DPS on it when you have a ranged weapon here. Try to pick up as many materials as we can, because we left a lot on the ground, and I don't want to waste too many this wave. Yeah, we'll take another potato. That's an awesome find as well. And then here, I'm going to roll for movement speed. Crit chance would also be nice, but having such low move speed is really bad. Okay, well, we rolled a bunch of times and didn't find any move speed. Fortunately, we found this fin, which will offset our move speed issues. I'll take the Lucky Charm first. I'll still buy Broken Mouth, because I do want a little bit more in the way of health. And then we'll take the fin next wave. That will give us enough move speed that we should be safe against the next elite. This wave is always going to be a little bit difficult with a bouncing weapon, because you can't control whether you are killing the Stargazer towers. So you're always going to buff the Stargazers. And when they get buffed, they absorb a lot of damage. And with a bouncing weapon, a lot of what you care about is just the total amount of enemy HP on the map at a time, since our damage is all spread out, so we just need to do enough that we're killing everything on the map. So increasing enemy health by buffing the Stargazers, especially the cursed ones, can be pretty dangerous for us. Nice to get this loot alien kill here. And then we'll definitely try to get some more curse. Bouncing shots should make it a little easier to pick up some of these curse alien kills, because we can focus them while still clearing the rest of the wave. So we got a decent number of curse enemy kills there. We already have an injection, but we'll still take another one because it's still 2% damage. And then I'm going to reroll here. I feel like I can do better. Yeah, we'll definitely take 10 attack speed. The harvesting is a little tempting even this late, but we have move speed locked in the shop, so I didn't need that. And attack speed is one of the stats we are really struggling for, so picking that up is really important. And then we will reroll here. I don't really need a black belt at this point. We already have really good XP gain, and we're near the end of the wave, near the end of the run anyways. So this elite, you just want to stay near and then move slowly away from. And then when it goes into this stage, It will never fire directly at you, so if you stay near it and just hold still, then you'll be able to kill it. And in particular, with a bouncing weapon, this is just an easy... this is a dead easy elite. You can just remain motionless, because you're going to be bouncing shots off of it to the other enemies on the field and killing everything else. So you can see there that the jellyfish elite is basically free when you're using a bouncing weapon. Because it's first stage, you can just walk away from it slowly, and at second stage, it never fires attacks directly at the player, so you can just stay still. As long as you have enough wave clear that you don't get pressured to move by the other enemies. Where that elite becomes difficult is if you just don't have enough damage to make the other enemies, to kill the other enemies, and they force you to start moving. I don't think we care that much about the alien eyes, but I guess I'll take it anyways, just because it's kind of fun. We'll definitely take more crit chance here, and we have plenty of regeneration, so we can use Bloody Hand. That's going to be a lot of damage. Snowball, we don't need. Elemental damage has ended up not really being a main strategy for us, because we just didn't get the support for the scared sausages that we got. And then here, we're going to do some re-rolling. I could buy Dodge. It will be one of the ways we can most improve our survivability. If I get like one more high-level dodge upgrade, we're going to hit level 25, and that'll get us another 12 dodge potentially. So I think buying dodge here is actually pretty good. We're going to take the butterfly and scarf. We still want those stats. Ritual, we want those stats. And we'll roll, take a Cyclops worm. I don't need to lock the Shuriken, I can just buy it. And big arms for more melee damage, of course, is excellent as well. Missile, I'm going to pass on. Our percent damage is at 0%, and I don't want to lose attack speed, so we no longer value percent damage as incredibly highly as we did before, buying, what was that, 1.4% damage? Just doesn't, for the cost of 4 attack speed, is no longer a good deal for this character. On the other hand, lifesteal is really nice because we have the Bloody Hand, so even though we get reduced damage scaling from that, the lifesteal is good just because it's good, and because it gives us percent damage, which is still at 0%. Very impactful, is just not anywhere near as ridiculously useful as it was when we had minus 80. But you can see we're now at the point where we're able to clear the map pretty effectively just by bouncing shots to every enemy on the field. The extra 10 crit chance from that, from the sunglasses are mattering a lot here as well, because so many more of our shots are bouncing now. We'll take the decomposing flesh. It's not going to be, it'll be worth like 2 lifesteal, but that's still good when you have a Bloody Hand. And then we'll take big arms and the lemonade and do a reroll. Baby elephant is nice. I'm not going to buy the decomposing flesh at full price though. So we might not actually hit level 25 this wave. It depends on how many materials we pick up. And if we don't, that would be a little disappointing because I was hoping to hit 25 and get a guaranteed tier 4 level. But it looks like we'll probably end the run at level 24, just judging by the speed at which we are picking up XP. We do have 50% XP gain, but the fact that I'm missing out on level 25 does mean I should maybe have more strongly considered buying the black belt that I passed on earlier. Getting to level 25 is such a big boost in our power level, but it looks like we might actually hit it with our harvesting, because we do have the crown, so we have a lot more harvesting than we did before. Okay, yeah, we are going to get there. So it was correct not to buy black belt, because that's the point of that would have been to push us to this level. Unfortunately, robot arm, we would definitely have taken this earlier. Would have been really nice to pick it up earlier, but obviously we're going into the boss wave, so no use for that. We also have the perfect amount of melee damage, so we don't really want to increase it. Increasing the number of bounces on Ricochet, we don't really need to do because we have inherent bounces from Shuriken anyways, so we're going to pass on that. We'll take 2 armor here, and then here I could take 20 attack speed, or I could roll for dodge. I think I'm just going to take the 20 attack speed. Attack speed is just so good for this character. Take the baby elephant. We'll take the Cyclops worm. Scar, I could buy just for 2% damage, which at 7% damage is not totally ridiculous, and I think, in fact, I will do that. It boosts my damage output by 1 per shot, which is 3 per attack on our weapons, which is very relevant. Coupon for the same reason. The discount won't matter, but the rest of the item will, the damage will, and we do get the discount, and then we'll take the Corrupted Shard here. We are not at 100% crit chance, so sunglasses will be good. Alien magic, I don't think we need that, honestly, so I'm going to roll past it. We'll take the Terrified Onion for more move speed and percent damage. I'm also not buying melee damage, because obviously we want to stay at 69 melee damage. We will buy the Shuriken, and we'll pass on the Hedgehog. Starfish, we don't need going into the boss fight. Snake doesn't really do anything, but I guess Toxic Sludge does. And we will roll again and buy an Alien Tongue and go for the boss fight with our ideal melee damage quantity. We could have bought some melee damage there, and it definitely would have been, you know, correct, but we're in it for the memes. Never did find Pocket Factory, which is a little disappointing. Always a very nice item for this character. The whale boss is the harder of the two to dodge its attack patterns, so I'm focusing it down first, though because we have bouncing shots, we can kind of hit either. One thing that you might not know, though, is that bouncing shots will not bounce back and forth between the bosses. They will bounce back and forth between other enemies, but not the bosses. So they'll bounce once, but not again. Which is kind of interesting. Alright, but there we go. We killed both bosses, and we have succeeded on our Danger 5 run with Renegade Shuriken. Honestly, this is just such a fun, satisfying run. You just get so many bouncing shots, and the crits go everywhere. The number of projectiles you're firing is just ridiculous. Just always a really fun run to play. Looking at our items, we ended up with 11.5k on the Scared Sausage, so those didn't end up being impactful. They would have been good if we'd gotten the support for them, though, so I don't regret buying them. What else? We got double black belt, which got us to level 25, which is great. Cute monkey for 31 healing. We had 800 damage on the landmine, so obviously not a real contributor there, but those were just for the 2% damage that they gave us. And turret actually did 6k damage, even though we reduced our engineering and never improved it. 6 regen from the baby squid, 279 from the recycling machine, so that paid off, 41 harvesting from the crown, but of course that's iterated over several waves, so it ended up probably getting us a little less than 100 materials that we spent on it, but we got the XP, and that was part of why we hit level 25, so without the crown we wouldn't have done that, so it ended up being a good item for us. Alien eyes were mostly worthless as well, and the baby elephant, again, was just for the plus 2% damage. 22 materials saved on coupon, though again, we bought that just for the damage output as well. Alright, my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this run, and honestly, if you're looking for just a fun, relaxing run to play, I highly recommend this one. It is just difficult enough to be interesting the whole way through, but also just really fun because everything just explodes. As always, of course, if you have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, my friends. I'll catch you next time.